This is the Real Estate Shop, where each episode will bring you a top industry expert to share their current programs or projects that are making an impact in our communities today. Be sure to check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Shop. We have the extreme pleasure of having Ashley Wicks, attorney and nationally recognized expert in new market tax credits, stop by the shop. Ashley, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
We want to jump right in. So your professional background is off the charts from what we can see. Can you tell us about your background and lead us through your education years through law school?
So I am a graduate of the Jackson State University. You may have seen the Sonic Boom on the South during the halftime show.
Absolutely.
At the Super Bowl. I have a bachelor's of business administration and accounting. I also have a master's in professional accounting from the Jackson State University. And then I went to law school at Tulane Law in New Orleans. So tomorrow's Mardi Gras. So happy Mardi Gras. And then while working, I got a LLM in taxation from the University of Alabama School of Law.
Got it.
Awesome. I see from your LinkedIn profile, you're involved in a lot of different organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha Kappa Alpha is one of them. National Black Association of Black Accountants, another. How do you choose some of these organizations that you're a part of, and how do they help you with the work that you do?
Well, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I was initiated in undergrad at Jackson State, and I've been a member 25 years this year. So that's kind of an organization that has, I started in undergraduate, and I've kind of grown within the organization. Some organizations, I think it's important, they have a lifespan. Like, you may be very active in them for a little while, and then you move on to something else. Like, I'm a member of the Junior League of Jackson. I was very active for a period of time, and that's a part of their process. And then you kind of go into a sustainer mode. I try to be a part of things that mean something to me and that I would want to be engaged in. I try to be involved in organizations that mentor and help people in disadvantaged communities, people that look like me, just to give them an opportunity to engage and do things to help better their communities.
I had a mentor. I once asked him before, I was taking on a different path in terms of my career. How do you choose the nonprofits that you're a part of from a board leadership perspective? And he's like, don't overthink it, man. Just follow your heart, follow organizations that are in line with what you like to do.
And it's important to say no sometimes, because you only have so much extra time, right? And if it's not an organization that moves something within you or something you feel passionate about, it'll become more of a chore to participate than something you're excited about, something you want to see move forward, and something that kind of energizes you, because we need things that remind us of why we are doing the things that we're doing.
100%. Yeah. So if we go back, what was your first professional job? And was that before or after you became a licensed attorney?
So my first professional job would be with DeWitt Sullivan. It was probably in high school, DeWitt Sullivan. When I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And I was in this program called Base Pairs, which was intended to expose individuals to the medical career. My teacher at the time had someone to come in and talk about finances and financial planning, and I was interested in the things that he was talking about. So I decided to pivot and do something different, because my interest was more, it interests me of how people make money. When people are telling me that they're an entrepreneur and things that they want to do, how they make money. So my first real professional job came out of that with an accountant. His name was DeWitt Sullivan. He has since passed. He had his own CPA firm, and he would give me tasks to do, as a high school student. And I learned some valuable lessons, like it's okay to fire your client, because sometimes you and your client are not on the same page. That's not a common practice, but sometimes it's best for your client to go in a different direction. So I learned a lot from Mr. Sullivan.
And you touch on a couple key things I think a lot of people think about, like when to fire a client or know when it's not a good fit. Not because, right, not every client's a good client, not every vendor is a good vendor. But you also hit on a point earlier. You said it's important to say no. And so there's a pattern there. Like, how are you overcoming those things that you just talked about?
Well, one, I think with clients, we work long hours, and you want to help them succeed. You want to help them do their best, or get whatever their goal is, achieve their goal. And it's not necessarily, because not all clients listen to my advice, right? But it's if your personality doesn't necessarily mesh with the client, or if the client, if you're not moving in the same direction as the client, then it may be that for the best interests of the client, because you want them to achieve their goal, they find somebody else more suited for their needs. Now, it's not something I commonly do, but it's something I understand and appreciate, because ultimately I want to see, whether you're with me or with somebody else, I want to see you achieve whatever goal it is that you set out to do. And I may not be the right person for you. And I'm not going to compromise the things that the quality of work. I'm not going to compromise my morals and my ethics to accommodate your situation. So it's, and not all of it is bad. Some of it may be, personality. You may need a different type of personality. And sometimes for clients, I am an African-American woman. Sometimes they have hard time taking advice from me. And so I realized that, although I think my advice is good advice, if that's what you need to move your business forward, then move your business forward in that direction. Saying no, I wish I had a magic answer, but I think, one, you got to trust your gut, right? Like if somebody calls and asks me to serve on the board, and they're telling me what the board is about, and I'm thinking about the board. Like, for example, there was a board that I served on for like 2 or 3 years. I wasn't excited about. They have a wonderful mission, and I financially support them, right? But I wasn't overly excited about going to their board meetings. I wasn't overly excited about participating in the extra activities that you have to do as a board member. I believed in their mission. I think their mission is important. I think they serve a great purpose, but it wasn't something that excited me. So I still support them. I'll make donations to them financially, but that's not how I wanted to spend my time.
Yeah. I know we're going to get into some more technical pieces of our conversation, but how did you matriculate through Butler Snow?
So before I worked at Butler Snow, I worked at a firm called Watkins, Ludlam, Winter and Stennis, which is also a Mississippi-based firm. And I worked there with my mentor, Alvino Costello, who retired at the end of last year. And so when Watkins Ludlam was acquired by Jones Walker, he decided to switch firms, and I decided that I wanted to go with him to Butler Snow. I started off here as an associate, and then I moved up to become a partner.
Excellent. So I know the topic that we're covering today is new to some of our folks. We've talked a little bit about tax credits on some of our prior episodes, but in the tax credit world, there's really a trifecta of financing vehicles. We have the low-income housing tax credit, historic tax credit, and of course, the new market tax credits. So for the benefit of the audience, can you give just a brief overview of the new market tax credit as a financing vehicle and how you acquired that expertise?
Okay. So new market tax credits is it's authorized by Congress, like historics and LIHTC. It is not a permanent program yet, but hopefully it will become permanent. But what it's intended to provide subsidy to more projects that are more commercial in nature. So unlike historic, it doesn't have to, the project can be a new construction, doesn't necessarily have to be a historic district. Unlike Life Tech, its focus is not just to provide housing. You can use New Markets for a mixed use building, but you can't use it for like an apartment complex that's predominantly residential in nature. It's intended to have a commercial bent to it. You can use it to finance real estate. You can use it to finance operating business, provide working capital to your business. And the process itself can be overwhelming because it can be a lot, right? It operates a little bit different than the other types of tax credits. But ultimately to your project, it could bring about 15 to 20% subsidy to your project. And unlike other subsidies, it comes in at closing. So that equity comes in at closing. There is a 7-year compliance period for it. It can be used to finance anything from medical facilities, mixed use facilities. It could provide a working capital to a project, manufacturing facilities. Trying to think of something that I have going on now. You know, a lot of colleges and universities use them. HBCUs have used them. It can finance, I said, manufacturing facilities, tech workforce development type facilities, charter schools. There's a plethora of things that it could be used for. The key is that the project has to be located in a low-income community, and that's based on census information. And there are different websites that you can go to, put the address in, and see if your project qualifies for New Market tax credits.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter if it's a public university or private?
No. So with respect to public universities, it's usually done through their foundation as opposed to the university itself. So it's usually because the project borrower has to be a corporation or partnership. So it's usually done through one of their foundations that's supportive of the university's mission, but may not be the university itself.
Okay. And what side do you typically represent? The investor, developer, CDE?
So I represent all of the above, but probably most frequently I'm Quality Counsel, which is the project borrower, and then probably CDE counsel, and then investors counsel.
Got it.
Go
ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, you know, the Quality counsel role or the project borrower role is probably all of them are rewarding, but you get into a little bit more of the weeds, and you get a little bit more invested in the project to see the success of the project. And you tend to like I have maybe 2 years ago I closed in Detroit. The community was a food desert, and they needed a grocery store. So I worked on the finance and a project called Detroit Food Commons. And it's knowing that, you know, a project you worked on is going to provide food to this community once it's up and running. It was a real estate based project, but it was a cool project. And then like this past December, and I'm just talking about on the Quality side, we took and this is in Memphis, Tennessee, we took an old high school called Northside High School. It's gotten a lot of publicity in the Memphis area, and they're rehabbing it so that it has new uses, and it'll have medical facilities, coffee shops. It'll have a lot of different things that community needs, and it could be a catalyst to spur other development in that area.
That's awesome. Is there a minimum job creation requirement? You know, with EB-5, I think it's 10 jobs or something.
So there is no quote unquote minimum, because the way the program is deployed is done through these entities called community development entities. And the community development entities apply for allocation from the federal government. And in their allocation agreements, they make certain commitments, like I'm gonna create so many jobs, or you give us this allocation, I'm gonna do all these great things. And sometimes they'll have they'll have benchmarks that they say that they're gonna do. And so some CDEs are focused on job creations. You have some CDEs that are focused on environmental issues. So it depends on the CDEs, and what commitments they made that they made to the federal government.
Got it.
And just for reference, because I know some people may not be familiar with New Markets, the CDEs are the vehicles that deploy this allocation. And if you're a project, what you do is you apply to the CDEs and say, hey, I have this great project. My project is ready to go. It's located in a low-income community. It's going to have all of these great community benefits. Can you commit a portion of your allocation to me? And if they say yes, and the financing begins, then you have an obligation to tell them once the project is up and running about those community benefits.
Okay.
Got it. So I know you gave some high level examples of the type of stuff you did. And it's interesting that I know you're a Jackson, Mississippi based law firm, but it sounds like you work all over the country. How does that work? How do you attract clients? I mean, obviously you have a name at this point. Everybody knows you're nationally recognized, but what is that lead generation, business development aspect look like for you? Or is there an in-house person who goes out and get business for Butler Snow?
No, it's me. So it looks like different things. This is a relationship business. This is me finding projects. This is me participating in podcasts like this. This is me speaking on panels. This is my willingness to do webinars, to sit down and have conversations and talk about new market tax credits. It's a lot of it, as far as doing business, is working with consultants. There are consultants in the space. If you are a project and you're looking for allocation, they can help you and connect you with CDEs, connect you with investors, having relationships with those consultants. Part of it is doing a really good job for your client, making sure that your client is satisfied. So when they, one, they don't, after they go through the process, they don't hate the program. And then two, knowing that you did a really good job for them, and you really are, I guess, a partner, and want to see that their project succeeds. And when you do a really good job for your clients, sometimes, they'll tell other people, well, this is who we use, this is who we've done. And just being willing and open to have conversations. A lot of people have projects, right? And we all know from the development side, maybe 20% of them are real projects. But sometimes having a conversation and helping somebody think through, what are my next steps? What do I need to do? Where should I be? That can sometimes lead to business development. Always being kind of, being open for that type of exchange. And then the coolest thing I think about new markets, and new markets for me as a practice, is the fact that I get to do stuff all over. Like I've closed a deal in Minnesota. I have a deal that one of my deals that's closing right now that's active is in North Carolina. And then last week I closed a deal in New York. So like being able to do things all over it's cool.
And I should interject, Ashley and I were LinkedIn contacts. I know we're going to talk about the relationships in a minute, but start out LinkedIn contacts. I never ever thought I was going to be in Mississippi at all. I was like kind of still shocked, from the 1960 stuff that I saw. But had an opportunity to go there and reached out to her. Already knew she was an AKA, knew I was an Alpha, and actually had coffee. So, and boom, here we are today. So it's
right.
You just never know.
It's about being open, right? Like just being open, and you never know who's going to lead you to your next business opportunity. So.
Yeah, so you mentioned you have a deal in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
You got a deal in New York. Did that come up because of this public speaking that you do at conferences, or like how did that even happen? Being in the South.
So some of it is, like I said, this is consultant driven. So I have a relationship with the consultant, and he likes working with me, and I like working with him and his team. So some of it is being open to that. And our relationship goes back probably, we've known each other for probably about 12 years. So
Okay.
it goes back away, right? So sometimes it's cultivating it over time. Meeting people at the conferences, being open to like Zoom. And the busier you get, it's harder. Like, managing my schedule, it feels like, and I feel bad about pushing people off on, hey, if you want to schedule it with my assistant, but she's keeping me on task and making sure, but I also want to be available. Like, I want to talk to you. If you have something, I want to have a conversation with you. But she also knows that I have documents to read, working group conferences to participate. So it's about being open to that. And then my LinkedIn, like I'm constantly updating. I'm constantly talking about the projects that I've had the opportunity to work on, and speaking on panels and talking about some of the hard conversations. Like, if you are, it's Black History Month, if you're doing a Black project, you're going to have some different sets of challenges. And it's not, because there are some issues that those projects have. It's, for example, sometimes getting a fair appraisal is challenging, right? You'll read a appraisal report and you're like, did you even go to my project? Did you even see my project? And fully understanding the importance of getting ahead of the appraisal. Understanding that, there are things that are, there's, racism in our society, and institutional racism in our society. So there's a level of distrust there, getting them comfortable with, this is how this works. This is really how it works. And this is why, and answering the question of why. Like, sometimes people try to push projects or decisions on clients and not tell them why. So my goal is, I tell them, if you have a question about something, you're going to be signing this document, you're going to be in this marriage for 7 years at least. If you have some questions and you need to understand the why, then it's my job to get you comfortable by explaining to you why it's there.
What point did you decide, what, I need to be on a panel, I need to be at this new market tax credit discussion, but I need to be on the stage as you're crafting a marketing plan? What led you to that decision?
Okay, so it's not crafted.
Evolving.
So it's not crafted. So, and I'm being honest, the first time I did a new market tax credit panel, I was just all right, because I wasn't comfortable necessarily in this space, right? I worked on deals. I had been pushing documents, and I just hadn't I guess gotten used to my high heel shoes, right? And then the more I started taking the lead on my projects and realizing, I know this stuff, right? I know what I'm doing. I know the answers to provide to my clients. I have a different perspective to offer than some of my colleagues. I don't, now I can talk to you about Section 45D, but I don't talk, when I'm talking to a lay person, I'm not talking about 45D. I'm talking to you in terms of something that you can understand and you can grasp, and maybe associating it with something that you're familiar with. So there was no plan. I did realize that as a lawyer, like my LinkedIn profile, that it was important that I develop my brand. I have a brand, and that I protect my brand, right? I did also, when the opportunities presented themselves to speak, and like I said, the first time I wasn't comfortable. So it took a couple of times doing it over and over. I did a couple of webinars. And the first time that I think I really felt comfortable was doing the Novogradic Basics as a webinar, right, during the pandemic. And it was because I don't know if I was at my house or what, but it was kind of like, okay, this could be fun, right? And then the other piece to it is, I think, again, understanding that, you know, most people of color have suffer from some of the imposter syndrome, realizing I'm not an imposter. I am who I am, right? And bringing my authentic self. So that meant during a webinar, cracking jokes, talking about the Jackson State University, which is the best HBCU ever, or just being who I am, and, you know, and understanding that, you know, I'm a good lawyer, I'm a great lawyer, and for some, I'm, you know, I'm a right fit, I'm a good fit. For others, I may not be, but, you know, for those clients that I am a right fit, I'm going to do my best to give them the best service.
Yeah, that's excellent stuff. So you talked a little bit about being involved with Alpha Kappa Alpha, and we're all D9 members here. Currently, what other type of associations are you involved with? If any, are there any boards that you're on currently, or?
I am a member of the Jackson State University Development Foundation, which is our fundraising board.
Dream alumni.
Yes, so I was on. I'm a new member. This is my first year, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the direction that the board is headed in. I'm really excited about the support that they're giving the university. I'm excited about we're transitioning and modernizing, and there are great things going on, and we're totally in support of the university, which is exciting. I'm a member of the Women's Foundation for Mississippi, which is a great organization to help women. Although it's not a nonprofit yet, one of my passions over the last maybe year and a half is helping establish the Mississippi After School Network. I believe the education is important. I believe children having access to education early on starts their trajectory, their life trajectory, right? And so the goal of the network, which I'm chairing their leadership team, just taking up most of my extra time, and it's something, like I said, told you earlier, something that I don't mind having a conversation with. I don't mind going to the meetings. I don't mind thinking through their issues, because I know that once I leave this earth, once the network is up, it'll be helping kids for years to come, and their providers. So we're working to it actually started from a provider, and now it's separating, and it's forming its own, hopefully its own separate nonprofit entity, and then it'll continue to grow and help providers throughout the state of Mississippi. Those are, I'm trying to think, is there anything else I've committed to recently? No, I think that's it. I try, although I get asked to do stuff a lot, I try to keep it in a way that it's manageable. I still have my free time, right? So, you know, when somebody asks me to do something, my first question is, how much time are we talking? Are we talking monthly meetings? Are we talking quarterly meetings? Are we talking annual meetings? And then why are you asking me to do this, right? So are you expecting me to be super active? Does it have its own staff? Those are just, you know, some of the questions I ask to kind of figure out if it's a right fit for me, for my personal life and for my professional life, because I don't want to compromise any of that in this for the sake of board service.
No, that's the reality, right? That's good feedback too, just helping our audience think through like how you balance your work and life. Year in and year out, I see you're getting awards, best lawyer in America, you know, during the daytime and the evening, you're solving all the world's problems. It seems like with the nonprofit engagement. But what is Ashley Wicks like? Like, what do you enjoy to do as a person? How are you balancing all this?
So So I enjoy hanging with my family and my friends.
Okay.
I enjoy I enjoy Jackson State football. So I'm a season
Okay.
ticket holder. So during football season, I will be if they have a home game, I'm there. Um, I enjoy a lot of times spending time with my family and my friends. Um, I like to travel for pleasure, not necessarily for work. Those are two different things.
Okay.
Um, last year, my sister, we were laughing because we call it the year of concerts because we went to see, I saw Usher in Vegas. I saw Erykah Badu. I saw Mary J. Blige. I saw King George 3 times. Like we did Essence. It was the year of concerts. So I like listening to live music. I love to dance. Um, I love I won't say I love to cook. I like to bake and try stuff that I see on TikTok or Instagram. And usually it doesn't turn out like that. Probably because I don't follow the recipe all the way. But yeah, that's me, and I love to like laugh, and I think one of the rewarding things about where I am in my state and my career or in life. Like I want to see others do well. Like, everybody, you can have a career or a profession where you're trying to, it's like crabs in a bucket, like, you got to tear everybody down so one person rises to the top. And I think there's enough out there for everybody to get a piece. And we should be trying to uplift each other, encourage each other, and do great things together so that we can do all those things that you said that I do.
Good
Excellent.
vibes.
So I mean, it sounds like you're pretty much busy 24/7, but
No. I take breaks. No.
got it. Well, seeing conscious is busy as well. That's a good thing. So excellent. So I mean, you've done a lot. Obviously, I've seen you on all of these conferences. Are there any other big goals that you have out there that you've yet to conquer that's on your plate or you want to do?
I think I try to reassess like things periodically, and I think I'm probably approaching a season of reassessment so that I can continue to grow. Like one of the things I think like lessons that I've learned like last year, the importance of delegation and the importance of being efficient and being leading more, because again, I think wanting to see everything, wanting to touch everything, is not, it's kind of taxing, can be taxing on an individual. So like on the deals, I would want to see everything before it went out. I think building a team, this is my professionally making sure I'm building a team and not feeling like I'm, trying to do everything, building a team, trusting my team, requiring, setting forth my expectations. So those are things I'm kind of reassessing. And I guess to answer your question more pointedly, I think I'm evolving as a leader. And so my goal is to kind of refine my leadership style and how I lead my team and how I manage my team. That's probably my goal, my professional goal. My personal goal is to figure out, we're almost 6 weeks in, figure out where I'm going to take a good vacation this year. Because I also realize that's important, like to totally unplug. And I'm getting so now that most of the time, unless your deal is closing next week or in the next 2 weeks, I'm not, like on the weekends, I'm not trying to work around the clock. But I'm still doing things in a way that can meet your expectations, meet timelines, and meet deadlines.
You know, like you do a pretty good job of communicating your current schedule to clients, what's in front of you.
Well, that's arguing. It depends. You know what I'm saying? It depends. One client called me like it was like 9 o'clock on a Sunday night. And I answered because, accessibility is part of what we get paid for, right?
Mm.
But I also had to remind the client it's Sunday night, it's 9 o'clock. Like, let me rest so that I can. And I did it in a nice way. And the client laughed when I said it. But I did. You have to set some boundaries, right? Last year, one of the words I learned, I think is, sometimes I get pulled in other directions, that may be outside of what I normally do, and being able to say I'm at capacity, right? And being okay with that, being okay with saying, I can't, this is what I'm focused on. This is what I want to do. I'm good at this. I like this. This is where I'm focused. I can't take on that right now. Now, if I had capacity, I would jump right in and be a part of the team, but realizing you can't do everything and be everything. And then delegating, trusting other people. Like I said, my transition of what I'm focused on, or I'm trying to focus on redefining myself as a leader, redefining myself as a manager, and how I think and process things. And so that I can continue to provide my clients with what they need, but also that you have those balance and boundaries that we talked about earlier.
And that's a big leap to go from being a technical person, right, that the subject matter expert, to being a leader of the organization. That's a whole different ball game. And not everyone, yeah.
It is. It is, but I think one of the things that has probably been most rewarding about it is I think you have to, like I was talking about, build your team. And one of the associates, like seeing her grow, seeing her knowing that, if she makes a mistake, I got her back. If she does something excellent, I'm gonna give her praise. Know that I trust her. Like if I have a call, I can't make the call, trusting her to handle stuff. And see and instilling in her confidence that you can do this, right? Whether I'm here or not, you can do this. So that she doesn't have any, I talked earlier about the imposter syndrome, or she doesn't have any questions about her ability to handle this. Like seeing that is probably almost as rewarding as closing a deal, like seeing somebody grow under you. And so I think that part is making making the transition a little bit easier. Pouring in that knowledge into somebody else. I think also realizing at the last year, I realized, realizing like everybody on your team have a skill set, or may have a strength, or may have an interest. And knowing that although their skill set or interest may not be what I need for my team, supporting that and getting them in a place where they can succeed with it, whether it's on my team or on somebody else's team, that has been really, really, I guess, eye-opening and kind of, I don't know, I guess exciting, which makes the transition a little bit easier.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about relationship building. We've talked about it a couple of times here, just in this conversation. How do you look at it, and how do you look at it from your lens in the tax credit space?
So, kind of growing up professionally in this space has been very interesting. Because when I used to go to conferences, I used to go and sit in the room to get the information, like go and sit in on the sessions.
Mhm.
Now, when I go to conferences, I may be in one or two sessions, but I'm mostly in the halls. Like I'm
Mhm.
mostly talking to people, um, meeting people, reconnecting with people. And it's funny to see that transition kind of take place. And understanding that, relationships happen over time. Like you're not going to take somebody to dinner one time and all of a sudden have all their business, right? And understanding that just because you didn't select me this time doesn't mean you won't select me next time. And still want, um, you know, I hope even if you don't select me, if you go with another lawyer, I still hope your deal closes. I still hope your project does well, right? Because it's supposed to have this benefit to that community where you are locating. But realizing it doesn't take it takes time. Like this networking, I'll just say this when I talk to love, it's not dating, right? It's not like just because somebody doesn't have time for you today doesn't mean they won't have time for you tomorrow, right? I'm not saying stalk anybody. I'm not saying, go and every time you see somebody, go and meet them. You've introduced yourself. You might have to introduce yourself multiple times. And it's funny to me because sometimes people are like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. And I'm like, I met you 4 times before, but that's fine. It's not dating. So you don't take it personally. Everybody meets a lot of people and they're not going to remember every person, right? So you just want to keep out there, keep building your brand, focus on you. And I mean, you're gonna experience some when you're networking for business, you're gonna experience some disappointment. You're not gonna get every client, you're not gonna get every job, you're not gonna get every project. But what you have to do is you have to keep putting yourself out there, you have to keep trying, you have to keep having conversations, you have to keep following up. Following up is key. One of the things I get asked to mentor a lot, and I mean, I'm a busy person, right? And I'm not saying that with, braggadociously. I'm a busy person. I got a lot on my calendar, right? So when somebody asks me to do that, right? I don't mind mentoring. I don't mind having a conversation with you. I don't mind having a Zoom with you. But I make it very clear on the front end that that relationship, because you asked me to do it, is your responsibility, right? It's not mine. So that means you need to follow up with me. You need to if you have an issue, you need to let me know what the issue is. Like I'm not your parent, so I'm not gonna see, oh, such and such change drastically. So they may be having an issue with work. And it may be, and my mentoring relationships look different with different people. I have a mentee, she'll call me, I might hear from her once every 2 years. And she says, Ashley, I want to talk this through with you. We talk about it, we move on. She likes all my posts on such and such. And then, but it's not, it's not, it's her responsibility because that's what she wants. It's not that I don't care about her. It's not that if an opportunity presents itself for me to send her business or to send her a client or anything, I would do that for her, or recommend her for a board. But it's the relationship ultimately is her responsibility to follow up and maintain. And it's not that I'm being mean or nasty or anything. I just don't have time.
Yeah, I could definitely relate to that. And we talked a lot about what this last question covers, but just to kind of boil it down, what advice would you give to current students or young professionals that are just starting out in their careers? I know we just talked about a bunch of stuff that would apply, but just boiling it down to, hey, this is what I think a starter should do at this point.
So to take ownership of it. You know, a lot of times we sit and wait for things to happen, right? Wait for the right opportunity to come along, wait for the right connections to happen, right? And some of it takes time, some of it takes time to build. Everything is not immediate. You're not going to graduate from college and become the CEO of something. Everything is not immediate, but there are things that you can do to prepare yourself. A lot of times when I'm traveling, I have an audible playing, some type of book, that self-help book. I read all day long, so sometimes I don't want to read in the airport, but I'll listen to a book on table that's supposed to be like a self-help or professional book. I update my LinkedIn profile constantly, at least once a year. I'll do like a refinement, like a tweak, put different stuff on there. But then when something new happens, I put it on there, I post it on there, I create content about what I'm doing, I congratulate other people. um I participate in organizations. You can see all the stuff that I've done on my bio. And just because you participate in something for a few years does not mean you have to stay in it or stay a part of it if it's not something that you enjoy or it's not something that you feel rewarding. Some things you're going to do because it's professionally beneficial, but some things you need to make sure that you enjoy. But it ultimately it's your career. Like, whether I'm at Butler Snow or some other firm or in-house or whatever, my brand is Ashley Wicks, and I have to protect that. So that means, I cannot, you're not gonna find videos of me out drunk, because I'm telling people to listen to me, listen to what I'm telling you, take my advice, right? So I'm selective of, who I hang with, what I hang with, because it's mine, right? I have too much at stake, too much, that I've invested in, and I want to see it continue to grow and be great. So protect your brand and take ownership of your career. Make connections, follow up. Don't leave things at I sent her an email. Yeah, send her another one.
Mhm. Right. Wow. Okay. Great. Well, that'll wrap us up. And once again, thank you.
Why you say wow like this?
What's
Is
that?
that good or bad?
No, I think that's excellent. That's excellent.
Okay.
Because, you touched on one thing, was it's not immediate. And that's, we all, the three of us, weren't born into this, internet type of thing with the immediate gratification. Like, hey, I post, I got 20 likes, in 10 minutes. So we kind of know that you got to grind it out. But I found with some of these younger folks, millennials or whatever you want to call them, the instant gratification mindset is there. And so I found with my mentees, well, I called the person 2 times last week. What else do you want me to do? Okay.
Call them again.
Call them, text them, and email them again. So I 100% concur with that. No doubt about it. And
And follow. I don't think people realize how important follow up is. Follow up is key. Follow up. You have to keep following up. You're not dating them, so it's not rejection, right? And even if you don't get an opportunity, being nice to someone or saying, thank you for considering me, and keeping in touch after the fact, it can lead to your next opportunity.
absolutely. No doubt about it. Any last words from you, Curvin, or?
It's been great, Ashley. Only thing I can think about is if you have any thoughts on the new market tax credit, like the future of the program, any outlooks, any trends that you recognize currently.
So in the new market tax credit space, I think we're getting more on. Before you used to you didn't know when the applications were coming out. I think we're getting more on like a regular schedule. It seemed like the application deadlines are happening end of the prior year, early like December, January-ish, and the awards are like announced September, October-ish. If you have a project, figuring out where you are in that timeline is key, whether or not you need to get in somebody's application or whether or not you need to look for existing allocation. That's important. there are, that, you know, the CDs are still focused on, underserved states. The key, to getting allocation is being able to check the box to say that you're in a severely distressed community. And so that's important in the new markets tax credit space. Also keeping in mind that we're transitioning to a new census, meaning that you need to check your project site under the old data and the new data to make sure it still qualifies, because that may affect your timing. And CDEs want projects that have all of the pieces together. Like, so you want to make sure that, you know, if that you've looked at your capital stack, that you have site control, that you know where permitting is, and that you've done some of those pre-development things.
Good deal.
Absolutely. So Ashley, we certainly appreciate your time, and I think our guests are going to be well pleased with this one. Always, we'll have to get her back maybe another year, Curvin, see what she's doing now, man. I think she's yeah, I want to find out what this reassessment period looks like now.
Well, you know, you gotta keep it fresh, just like you change your hairdos. You gotta change. You gotta think about, am I being my best self, or am I putting myself, you know, or, you know, some people qualified as am I happy, but happy to me is depend on the day, right? So I like to think about, am I my best self? Am I the best daughter I can be? Am I the best sister I could be? Am I the best lawyer I could be? Am I the best partner I can be? So you know, you gotta figure out what makes your best self.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's a wrap, folks, and we'll see you in the next episode. Another day at the shop. Content they can't get anywhere else.